Hello everyone, and welcome to the second episode of my Introduction to Programming tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to write a simple program using the C# programming language to work with numbers. The same tutorial is also available using the visualbasic.net programming language, which you can also find under my tutorial videos here. Let's start by asking the user to input two numbers. First, let's make two string variables to store those inputs. Now let's display a prompt here. Now that we have both inputs, let's try to add up the two numbers and display the sum. Let's try to do it this way first. So now I am writing to the console the string input1 plus input2 equals, followed by input1 plus input2. Let's run the program and see what happens. Enter the first number, let's enter 12. Enter the second number, 34. Now the program says input1 plus input2 is equal to 1234. That is not the sum of the two numbers, that is the sum of the two strings. In order to add up the numbers from input1 and input2, the numerical values, we have to first convert them from the string data type into numerical types. In this case, let's convert them into integers. First, let's make two integer variables here to store the number from input1 and input2. To do that, we use the int keyword followed by the name, let's call this num1 is equal to int.parse input1. So int.parse takes a string and converts it into an integer, and now we assign that into this variable num1. Now let's do the same for input2. We convert it to an integer and we save that in the variable num2. Now let me make a few more variables. So now I am doing the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division on num1, num2, and then storing those results in the new variables a, b, c, and d. And now let me output those values. Now I want to display the text num1 plus num2 equals, followed by this number here in this variable a. Now this is a string and a is an integer. We cannot add a string with an integer. So in order to display this, we need to convert this a from an integer back to a string. Now we do that by using the .toString method. So the toString method converts it into a string. Now let's do the same thing for b, c, and d. Now let's run the program again and see what happens. Enter the first number, let's enter 12. Enter the second number, let's enter 34 again. Now the program says num1 plus num2 is equal to 46, num1 minus num2 is equal to minus 22, num1 times num2 is equal to 408, and num1 divided by num2 is equal to 0. Now these three look okay except this last one. Num1 divided by num2 is equal to 0 point something, not 0. But because they are all integers, and in order to round that 0 point something into an integer, we have a 0 here. So if we want to see decimal values, we need to use a different data type. instead of integer. In this case, we use the floating point value. To do that, we convert them into float. Floating point values are used to represent decimals. Now let's run the program again and see what happens. Into the first number, let's enter 12, the second number 34 again. Now we have a decimal value here. Thank you for watching this video and see you next time.